morning, everyone. This is Shilpa Malik, the managing attorney at VisaNation Law Group. I'm really excited to be here today to have a fun conversation about EB-1As, the Extraordinary Ability Green Card Petition, which seems to be really catching up these days, given the long backlogs for other categories of employment-based green cards, such as the EB-2 or EB-3. I bring about 17 years of employment-based immigration experience to the table. So I'll share some valuable insights with you as to how to pursue an EB-1A if that's the path you're looking at. And I also have my colleague, Attorney Quindemil, who has over a decade of experience, and she is exceptional at exceptional ability visa category. So Katyana, if you could please join me and introduce yourself and talk a little about your experience.
Of course. Good morning. My name is Attorney Quindemil. I'm an associate attorney at the firm, and I have been practicing almost exclusively for the past at least 11 years, focused on business immigration. My niche has always been the extraordinary abilities category, so I look forward to sharing insight and information with you all today.
So let's talk about what the EB-1A is. The EB-1A is the highest level of green card accorded by the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. And because it's the highest level of green card accorded by them, they expect the highest level of evidence to prove that a person is worthy of an extraordinary ability foreign worker or alien green card, as they like to call it. The EB-1A requires us to establish that the person has risen to the top of their field and has sustained national and international acclaim. There are multiple criteria that need to be satisfied in order to demonstrate your worthiness for the EB-1A.
As Shilpa explained, with the EB-1A, because this is such a high-level visa, it does require an extensive documentary evidence to be able to support demonstration that you have risen to the top of your field. Now, if you can demonstrate that you have received a one-time international recognized award, that would be something along the lines of a Grammy, an Emmy, something extensive to that extent. That would be the first way to prove it. But as most people have not received such an acclaim or recognition or award, you also can prove extraordinary ability by proving demonstration that you've met at least 3 of 10 potential categories. Now, the 10 potential categories are receipt of a lesser nationally or internationally recognized prize or award for excellence, membership in associations in the field which demand outstanding achievements of its members, published material about you in a professional or major trade publication or other major media, evidence of being asked to judge the work of others, either individually or on a panel in your same or similar allied field, evidence of original, scientific, scholarly, artistic, athletic, or business-related contributions of major significance to your field, authorship of scholarly articles in professional or major trade publications or other major media, evidence that your work has been displayed at artistic exhibitions or showcases, evidence that you command a high salary or other significantly high remuneration in relation to others in the field, or evidence of commercial success in their performing arts. Now, because all of these categories do not apply to every field, you can choose 3 of these 10 that you believe that you can meet. Now, keep in mind, 3 is a minimum. It always is better if you can prove more than 3. That way that you can level the playing field and you can present to the officer additional categories and leave it up to the officer to decide which ones they agree with that you meet. And with these categories, it is a twofold evaluation. So first, the officer must assess if you have met the evidentiary regulatory criteria, meaning have you proven and demonstrated by a preponderance of the evidence that you have met at least 3 of these categories. Then they will perform the second step, and this is the final merits determination. They will take all of the evidence and evaluate the evidence in its totality to be able to determine if you have proven that you have sustained a high level of expertise in your field and risen to the top. It's important to note, it cannot simply mean that you have risen to the top of your field in the past. A big part of this is you need to have sustained national or international acclaim. This means you have to demonstrate that, yes, you have risen to this level in the past, but that it continues through the present day. So this is an important part of the final merits determination that the officer will be determining.
I would like to go over the kind of evidence that clients can possibly provide for meeting the criteria that apply to their field. As Katyana rightly mentioned, it's not possible to demonstrate that you meet a majority or 90% of the criteria unless, of course, you've risen to that level in a particular field. And some of these criteria would not even apply to you. So, for example, let's address the nationally or internationally recognized awards. As Katyana mentioned, of course, if you have a one-time Oscar, Grammy, Pulitzer, or any top world-recognized award, that alone would be sufficient to get you an EB-1A. But 99% of the people who apply for an EB-1A do not necessarily have such an award. So then you're looking at a prestigious scientific or professional award, such as an IEEE medal, a Fields Medal, or recognition in mathematics, statistics, or computer science that's globally recognized and well known in the industry. Then we go on to memberships and associations that require outstanding achievement. I would like to point out that USCIS is very clear that membership in just one association is not enough. There's a plural version of associations utilized here, which means USCIS expects membership in more than one association to meet this criteria, which essentially requires you to prove that you've been invited to become an honorary or expert member of an organization that is well known in your field. So it should be essentially an exclusive professional society that requires significant career achievements on your part and industry-wide recognition. There's the other criteria, which is very interesting to us, which is published material about the applicant in major trade or media publications. Now, a lot of people confuse this with articles that they may themselves have written, but that's not what this criteria is. This criteria is about what has been written about the applicant, which means has there been a featured article about the applicant's work in a magazine like the Forbes or New York Times or the Nature or any other industrial or other professional journal that's well known in the industry for the purposes of demonstrating how much of an expert the applicant is. And the reason they've been featured is because of their achievements. Of course, there's a segment, if there's a news segment in the CNN, BBC, Fox News talking about what the applicant has done, that can be utilized as well. Or even locally sourced publications that have a wide outreach, informing the media, the public about the expertise of the individual also helps if it's sort of something that can have a wide outreach to people who are interested in that field or are experts in the field. Now, moving on to participation as a judge of the work of others, you could look at being a peer reviewer if that's a part of your field. You could be a peer reviewer in high-impact journals such as IEEE, the JAMA, the Nature magazine, or you're an expert panelist at international or national grant reviews or judging competitions as applicable to your field. Then we come down to what's called the significant contributions, which are original in nature and are of major significance to the field. So typically you would look at a patent, if that applies to you, or some industry-changing algorithm that you may have built, or contributions that you've made across the board while working for your employees that's saved them millions or billions of dollars or got them that kind of business. All of that is also taken into consideration. And if you're in the medical field, you may have found a medical procedure, you may have found a possible cure for something that has been concerning scientists over a period of time. Then we have the authorship of scholarly articles in major professional publications. Then in that scenario, it's as simple as showing that you have written articles primarily as a first author in journals of high significance or with high impact factors, and you've been cited multiple times by experts in the field. Or you may have written a technical book on using your expertise for the field that is utilized by students or professors or in the academics, etc. Now, display of work at artistic showcases or exhibitions usually applies to people who are in the field of art, such as directors, filmmakers, artists, etc. Leading or critical role in distinguished organizations essentially means that you occupy a very significant role in a company that's well known. For example, if you're working on a very high level position with a company like Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, etc. And again, that's subject to the industry that you're working in. That is also something that's taken into consideration. You do have to provide evidence in the form of employment verification letters defining your critical role in these companies. Now, the final one that I think would usually apply to a lot of people is the high salary or compensation indicative of extraordinary ability. This essentially means you're amongst the top 1% earners in your industry because of your expertise. You're being given a high remuneration, whether it's in the form of, a salary or other compensation, because you bring that expertise to the table. And you've been given, let's say, significant stock options or very high bonus amounts due to the work that you've done at those organizations. Then the final one is commercial success in performing arts. That eventually, again, boils down to what kind of industry you are in. Essentially, if you're a singer, you may have sold millions of copies of albums. If you're a writer or an author, you may have sold millions of copies of a book. Or you're a director or filmmaker, producer, where you've had a box office hit and have been recognized at international film festivals. At the end of the day, it's all about providing strong, verifiable evidence of at least 3 of these criteria, backed with a strong support letter. Ultimately, your package is as good as you present it as, so making sure that all your achievements are highlighted is very, very critical.
So when it comes to preparing these packets and preparing these petitions, you need to be collecting and presenting more than simply letters of support. You need to make sure that you're collecting and including objective, independent evidence supporting each of the categories and each of the criteria that you're going to be proving. So whether you are ready, whether you've reached the point of being ready to file your case, or you're still in the early stages, make sure that when you're collecting this documentation to begin preparing it accordingly. Start creating Word documents, start creating Google Drive folders, and start compiling this type of evidence, because this will benefit you and facilitate the process when your case is ready to be filed sometime in the foreseeable future. Thank you for your time, and I believe if you have any more questions, we're definitely here to help you and to serve any of your interests. So thank you and have a wonderful day.
I hope the session was beneficial to you all. And I do want to add one thing, that if you're not there yet, you can build your profile to do so.